All right, here we go. Let's do it. Sci-Fi Express Lane, welcome. Jeff Carroll, science fiction writer, filmmaker, comic book dude, you name it. Coming to you after the great Harlem Comic Book Festival. And it was amazing, as always. This was, kind of shaky on your values because it makes you reevaluate everything. Never been to a convention where people don't have to exaggerate their success or dumb their success down. You're able to sort of freely discuss your how you did at the convention, mostly because everybody did well, and that's weird. And then the other thing that's weird is, even amidst the changes, right? They haven't gone. It's still a library convention, so library conventions are more focused on books than they are the materials, right? So there was still maybe one vendor without a comic book or a book. Now, unlike the first few years, where I'll say I wasn't selected because I didn't have a lot of comic books, this time there were at least 3 authors that I saw there. The best one of them had was a children's book. So that has changed. But the common theme was black. So everybody there was not only black, but they had black products, right? And I think what happened is, this is a convention. I don't think it's post Black Panther. Maybe at the same time as Luke Cage Netflix came out, but it definitely is in that era of Black Panther. And why do I say that? Because Black Panther has to take credit, and so does, or get credit, and so does Luke Cage, for expanding the black science fiction and comic book world respect. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of respect for comic books now in ways that it kind of wasn't before. And the convention is a byproduct of that. So you had nothing but comic book guys with books, guys and girls, creators. Let me just say creators. There's men and women, all right? It was definitely not only men. I was across from a woman. Next to her was another woman. I think there was a male-female team next to them. It was just mixed. And I know it's a male-dominated industry. Not saying that, but there was a heavy mix. And maybe there's a mix in all of this. I'll have to look when I go to my next convention. But what do you call it? It was a good mix. The other thing that I wanted to say too is, I guess with success comes great responsibility. So me looking at the success of this convention helps me put together my path as a comic book creator, self-publisher, or whatever. I do study my audience. I study my fans and what they like and things of that nature. Sure, this is immediate. Nobody's read my book, but or at least the books that I was selling. But there's people coming back. So next year I got to have new things for them, as well as the old things for other people. But yeah, I got to have new things. So that's interesting. Next is, who the heck am I writing for? Down here in South Florida, you know, I have a mainstream audience that I have to kind of cater to. If you don't write for the mainstream, you're really not going to sell much. One of the things that some of the older people, not older people, but people who were into comic books before Black Panther, like heavy, you know, in the 2000s, right? They are, remember, you know, before like black people started coming, you know, and they have memories of black people being at conventions where they would be the only black person and the black people would walk to all of the white people around their booth. That's not the case in Harlem. That's not the case pretty much anymore. I think for two reasons, right? One, the audience has gotten more exposed. They're definitely open to it more. And then I'll say this, and I don't, you know, of course it'll offend some people, but I think it affects me as well. And I've said it to them, but a lot of times they didn't listen. But the creations of black creators are evolving. I think we're seeing less of the Ankh brother superheroes, you know, where he's just some magical Egyptian black person, you know, a West African god Superman, you know, something that you're trying to make a Thor, you're trying to make a Superman using African, you know, black as your substitute. And I think part of that is what turned some black people off, those early black people. Now, I say that to me because I have two comic books that are Hotepish, right? And I'll say that proudly. One is my Planet of Kibulan, and I see how people buy it, you know, especially down here in the mainstream world. I see how black people respond to it, you know. Kibulan is the first name of Africa. So for some people, that is difficult to say, probably everybody. And two, it's black, you know, and there are black people that want your story to be more than just black. Let me say that. I do think they'll buy black people's stuff, but I think they want it to be more than just black. And I think probably a good example of that is probably Harriet Tubman, Demon Slayer, where it's not Harriet Tubman, Ku Klux Klan Slayer. It's not Harriet Tubman, White People Slayer. And, you know, like in Bitterroot, but probably less like Bitterroot, the comic book Bitterroot, the demons have not revealed who they are, right? In Bitterroot, they came out as a white people, right? So there might have been some fragility in there, but Bitterroot did real good, so you can't even knock it for that. But you know, you had these new comic books doing well amongst black people at these white cons. You can't say nothing. Tuskegee Airs. What? And who was walking around that table? They never had that experience, but you gotta understand, they're less than 10 years old. You know what I'm saying? Demon Slayer is less than 3 years old. So, you know, they sound black, but they're pretty much acceptable black names. I have no idea. I think I'm going to try to delve into this a little bit more, you know, but I do know that black people don't walk away from fingernails. They're not walking away from Cyberpunk Street, which has my titles, which has a black robot on the cover. You know what I'm saying? And kind of I'm exploring. I got 2 books now with fingernails with black characters on the cover. So I definitely know that there may have been a shift, because I experienced it when I first started in 2008 when I was doing my cons with Monty the Killer, you know, and I saw black people walk around the table, and maybe there's still a few black people that do that, but now they'll, you know, when black people at white conventions see you, they'll, for me, they'll look and say, what's Fingernails about? Or I like this, can I get this copy? They may not get the Hotepi, a Planet Kibalon or Twaman, but sometimes the Twaman catches them because their kids may say, oh, look, it's a black leprechaun, and that may catch them. So I think it's a little bit of that. So yeah, I think, those are the two things. I think the community has changed, and I think what black creators offer has changed in a positive way for the whole industry, for black creators to sell more and for the black audience to enjoy and buy more, okay? So that's that. The other thing, and this is the last thing I'm gonna mention, who am I writing for? Get the heck out of here. So who am I writing for? I thought I was writing for kids. If I listened to Ekbach, the black comic book, East Coast Black Age of comic books, I would have thought I was writing comic books for kids, and manga is very much kids still. Manga has taken over the kids, but who reads American style comic books? I thought I was in a different part of the world, because when I went to my comic book store, it was older people my age. I'm 56, right? There's people that, 40 something, 30 is young at a comic book store. Of course, there's kids that come in there, but they get the Funko Pop. They may get a little bit, heck, I'm guilty of saying I didn't really read comic books when I was young. I bought Conan, but I didn't even read Conan. I picture read it. You know what I'm saying? And I have the Justice League versus Marvel, the big giant size one. I have that comic book, but I looked at the pictures of it. I really didn't get into to the characters or the stories. So now when I look around, especially Harlem, there's gray-haired people in there. Like if I wasn't so busy, I would have been able to take pictures of, and I'm pretty sure some people do, of gray-haired people coming through there like me. The average age look over 30. The average age look within the 40s, easy. And everybody wasn't buying comic books for their kids. You understand? And that's, there were people there certainly buying them. But I had one lady said, why don't you find something? I'm getting this. She bought Fingernails and bought it with the, the variant cover. You understand? So like my variant covers are more, like $15 more. They're like twice as much as the, the regular comic book cover. And she was like, I'm getting this for me. And I was like, wow, and it changed my pitch, because I was like, I'm normally pitching comic books for kids. I say, this is teenage, this is for young. They'll come and they'll say, down here in Miami, they'll come and say, you have anything for kids? And I have to tell them, say, you should read. I don't read. Batman ain't for kids. You know what I'm saying? Blade Runner. What's another one that I read? Philadelphia. I don't think Philadelphia is for kids. You know what I'm saying? I want to give that to grown-ups, for them to check out, right? So if they like the paranormal stuff, that's what Philadelphia is. You know what I'm saying? I read Department of Truth, Planet of the Apes by David Walker. That is a grown-up story. You understand? So anyway, the black people in Harlem really represented that demographic. With my promotion of my last Harlemite, of course, they're teenage kids, and I don't think that takes away from it. Just because I know young adult books in literary tell you to write young people's stories for young people readers, but I don't think that applies to comic books, because I think there's a lot of young adults that live inside of older people, and as long as it's not stupid and silly, we will buy into it. So I think that's my wrap up, but I feel more confident in the projects that I have coming up. I will share those with you. They're still work in progress. I mean, I write my stories practically up until they're printed. I may change things even with the lettering, you know what I'm saying? I might punch up the jokes because I want the story to be as good and punchy as possible. So I take all the way up until it's published. I send it off to the publisher to punch things up. But I got some good things coming down the lines, and you'll be excited. And definitely contemporary readers, people that's over 40, I'm coming for you. Let's do it. We sell, we buy, we write. All right? Or we write, we sell, and we buy. Whatever the order is. Jeff Carroll out, Sci-Fi Express Lane. Like, subscribe, share, and of course comment.